Okay, as I mentioned to you guys, I want to know, this is the first part of our experience today where I want to hear from you. I want to know why you're here. I have an idea because some of you I know, some of you I don't. And what do you really hope is going to come out of this? And why do you think you are where you are in your relationship story slash experience? And that can be like, when I say, why are you here? Well, I want to fall in love, or I'm struggling in my relationships. I think I could benefit from having more information, or I really want to overcome some obstacles. Some people may be in relationships already. Some people may not be in relationships. It doesn't matter. The information here is uh, designed to support relationship creative processes and help you gain better understanding about why things are working or not. And then I want that baseline from you. And so you can chat it in the chat room. Why do you think you're here? Well, you can say, well, I don't know how to find a partner, or I keep picking the same partner, or I can't seem to get out of my own way, or, I need to update my information. I mean, those are just examples, what it looks like. So I'm going to patiently wait while you guys chat me up. Yeah. And by the way, if you guys haven't found the chat room, for me, it's up on my menu, goes at the top screen. Oh, Susie's getting the ball rolling. Good morning. Well, it's probably afternoon for you. Why am I here? I need to find myself so that I can stop changing in relationships. I mean, you change, you accommodate others. Is that what you mean? Julie says, I realize I have had my heart closed due to trauma with father and men. Yes. I've had good men interested, but I pushed them away. A lot of fear. Yep. Ding, 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 ding. I know that one. Deja, I'm here to do something to show the universe that I'm ready for love. I want to learn how I may be blocking the process. I want to call in the right one. You know what? I'm going to address some of that before, you can keep chatting or telling me what you want. Well, no, I guess I don't need to say because it'll come up in the next slides, but we're going to address that. Okay, Susie says exactly. She's been accommodating others and she wants to stop that. And I think that is a fantastic goal, actually. Sally says, a relationship that is not good for me anymore is ending. I feel like I need to go back to basics to learn what love really is. That's beautiful. That is so honest and raw. I like that. Reverend Sherry says, do you want me to call you Rev Sherry or Sherry? Let me know. I live in 2 hours from everything. Arkansas, alone with 3 cats and a dog. Sorry?
Sherry's fine.
Oh, okay. Okay. My husband died almost 3 years ago. I'm sorry. Just 5 months after we got here. I need a partner from my heart and my retreat center. Awesome. I love that. Jackie says, I want a healthy love relationship with a man like I've never known. You might want to be a bit more specific about, I have been attracted to men who are narcissistic. I too have pushed away good men. It's been a long, long time since I've been in a relationship. Yes, there's a lot. We cover up, we do it. And sometimes it's so much easier to be alone and safer. And then we just build a life that doesn't include others. Sonia, I'm here to get into my heart and more instead of my head. Yay! Feel safe within myself so I don't look for it in relationships. Come back to myself and worry less about what the other person is doing. Perfect. Cheryl, I'm thinking the same as Deja. Yes, good. When I'm saying good, I'm saying these are all things that we will get to. So all of our situation is unique, but there are certain threads that carry through into uh, these situations, and all of this will be addressed. Mary, hello. Why am I here? I really want a long-term loving relationship and stop losing myself in relationships and attracting men who are not available. Excellent. Sherry, I want to have a real partner, soul, body, and mind. Yes. Julie, 20 years for me, Jackie. Wow, 20 years. Wow. I have resisted romantic, it's funny too, because I had a client, a male client who took the love class, and usually in love class, there's maybe one guy. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had two. And he reached out to me. I haven't heard from him in years, but he's on my email list. And I'm like, well, you can always join again because he's still single. But I thought of that, Julie, because he had been single 17 years. And there is some patterning that definitely goes on when you've been single a long period of time. Because, of course, what happens when we're by ourselves? All we do is recycle our own thoughts and our own beliefs. And then we really begin to believe all that. And many of our thoughts are not true. We just align with them, and then they end up leading us astray. So just know, for those of you who have been out of relationship for long periods of time, you are the folks who are probably going to want to stay with the book a bit, but not on an analytical level. Oh, if I do these 10 steps, if I do these 25 steps, then it's going to happen. It's a mathematical equation. It's not a linear mathematical equation. This is a feeling. This is an allowing process. This is an expanding your awareness. This is the courage to let go of thoughts, beliefs, and points of view that you are stuck inside of, because it is a stuck. All right, so I'm just kind of putting that out there. I'm coming for you guys, and I'm going to have to rattle your cages a little bit. And you can be mad at me. That's all right with me, but I'm for you. Just know I'm for you in everything I do and in everything I say. Claudia, I've resisted romantic relationships for over 10 years because of attracting all the wrong partners. It's time to open back up as my authentics. You are authentic, girl. You are authentic. Give me a break. And put myself out there fearlessly with joy. Fearlessly? Okay, way to go. Anel, hello. I'm here to find ways to expand my capacity to feel and be loved. I find this difficult when I relate to people. I would like to find more love and friendships and companionship. I spend most of my time with myself and would like to attract good companionship. And Anel, if you would be so kind, now that I've put the spotlight on people who've been single for a time, how long have you been single? And Bhavya, I am finally stable enough in my life that this area of my life can finally come back to life. That's fascinating. That's fascinating. That's fascinating to me because relationship itself should be a stabilizer. But I'm glad that you have taken an inventory of the sort and felt you needed to bring something more to the party. I think that's critical. And Joanne, good morning, Joanne. I need to look within to understand why the right person isn't coming into my life. Trying to figure out if I'm doing something wrong. Yeah, you're being, I'm going to tease you, but I'm not. I won't start the teasing yet. Sherry, God brought me here, and then my husband died and live in isolation. Okay. Sally, amen, Mary. Quantum physics, I love it. Oops, okay. Needed to hear that. Let me make sure I have, okay, good. Fantastic. Everything that has been in that chat room. Oh, let me check in with Tracy. He's on the phone. Tracy.
Oh my goodness, there's so much I could say. I have an abundance of love and I know it's meant to be shared. I was in wedlock before. I divorced it's been 4 years now. And I can actually sense my soulmate. I
Awesome.
have no idea where he is, but I can actually sense that. So I want to tap more into that energy.
Right on, sister. That's great. Fantastic. I love it. All right. So thank you, Tracy. Um, let's see. By the way, the last class, I will do a mini love reading for everybody who's here. That will be a part. So after we've worked the energy for these weeks together, you will come to me with the question that is now relevant to you. Okay. And I will look at that. But I'm not going to do it until after you've worked the energy of the class. Because if I do it too soon, God willing, you'll shift a lot through the class. You will have clarity about why some of these things, these questions you've asked in the chat room, you'll have clarity about it. So I want you to be in a different state of awareness when you ask the question, because some of you might say, want to talk to me about your current relationship or what happened before. And, we're going to talk about, it'll organically come up through the course, but I don't want to psychic read you until the awareness has expanded in some form. All right, let's get to it. I want to talk first about the historical idea of relationships. It's important because we don't think about it. We think it's automatic that we should just be able to connect to somebody and go out and meet somebody. But, there is programming that has come forward for many generations, for hundreds of years, the way culture has evolved. So marriage, until, I would say, until modern times, has been primarily a financial arrangement between families. It's not like, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you, let's get married. It's like, okay, this family has this family has that. Do we come together for us to be together? Does it make a good match for the families, for what the family goals are? And love didn't have a lot to do with it. And arranged marriage still occurs in vast quantities in many parts of the world. I had a client just on, was it Friday or Thursday? I don't know, recently. And his kids, it's an arranged marriage. The family picks the other family. And that's just how it works. And you hope that you can develop warmth and connection with each other, but not necessarily. So we have to understand that there have been different ways of partnering that had nothing to do with love. And then we come into, this romantic love is a modern concept. Exactly. And it really didn't begin to shift, in my point of view, until the creation of birth control, which happened in the 50s. Because at that point, women could choose to have or get pregnant or not get pregnant. Suddenly, we had a different kind of control over our bodies than ever. And that, to me, is when the change in how women show up in the world began. And women started, back in that time, the number was about 25% of women worked, 75% stayed home. Now it's reversed. We make our own money. We're looking for a soulmate where, back in the day, we'd look for someone who could pay the mortgage. We look for someone who could provide a home for us and feed us, and we didn't have to think about money. And now that money and birth and pregnancy is out of the question, that's not part of the scenario, we have all these other ideas about it. but yet we have no understanding about how to actually have a relationship. We just think it should come together. I'm attracted to you, you're attracted to me. You like the outdoors, I like to read, you like to read, and we think that that's the basis of a relationship. And that's a very myopic view of what relationships actually are. And when you understand that in the attractive process, that we have to orient from a different place and shift the way we're looking at relationships. So that begins first with recognizing this is a modern time, and it doesn't work how it used to. And especially when you get into midlife, some of you are, some of you aren't there. But after you've had relationships for a time, you say, well, wait a second, it was easy when I was 18, 25, we just met, we just got together. Well, you're not still together now, right? You wouldn't be here. So yes, for a variety of reasons, we come together and we start having interactions with folks, but they're unconscious. All right. And that there we can get into karma, past lives, whatever, all those other fun topics. So now, yeah, I'll check in with you, Barry. And you said I can't type worth a shit. So I'll check in with you in just a moment, Barry. Okay, love. Well, actually, I'll check in with you now. Let me find you. Because I don't want to get too far in without hearing what you need to say. So hang on. Where are you, Barry?
There, I unmuted myself.
Okay, so you were going to comment on why you're here and why you think you're here?
Well, I'm pretty sure it's about self-esteem and those things I'm saying to myself that really get people up to a certain point, and then it doesn't go any farther. And it's been over 25 years. So,
okay. Well, we'll find out. And that's sort of the whole process. But you will absolutely get some of what your surface goal is, for sure, Barry. And I know you're going to give yourself to the process.
And then you told me last week that something was happening. So
well, we'll check in with that at the end of the course. All right. So any questions about the historical piece I said, or any comments you want to make before I jump into the spiritual view? Okay. So here's where we're going. And some of you may like this. It may make sense to you. And you're like, yeah, I get it. Some of you may be like, Phyllis is out to lunch. Phyllis is like, oh boy, I don't know. This may be out there for you. So it is what it is. I encourage you to, at least if you're in resistance to some of the things I'm saying, I encourage you to challenge that resistance, or set aside your resistance just to try it on. I'm going to give you a new set of clothing to walk into. You don't have to wear that set of clothing indefinitely if you don't want to, but try it on. I'm asking you to take a leap of faith and try something on that perhaps you haven't heard before, or when I say it, you're like, I don't know. I don't know about this. So the primary purpose of relationships is expansion. They are mechanisms for growth. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. In my point of view, we're here to expand our soul, to evolve, to become more enlightened, to reach that state of agape love, to get to that point where we recognize our interconnectedness and we're not in resistance. And we have these opportunities in life to experience. And then how we react to those experiences causes us to grow or not. And relationships are the absolute best mechanism to make that happen, because we get close, we attach, and then whatever goes on once we're attached starts getting all of our stuff going. And if we don't lean into our triggers, if we don't lean into what causes us to be afraid, what we don't lean into our own resistance, that's often why relationships fail. And I'll tell you, I talk to a lot of people, they have these fantastic connections with someone at the get-go. 3 months in, 4 months in, something happens that I call bouncing up against the wounding. Once you've attached and someone gets in, suddenly the wounding comes forward and you start getting triggered. And that is the moment for deep intimacy. That is the moment couples have a fantastic opportunity to take that relationship to a deeper and more intimate place. And they do that by supporting each other through dealing with the wounding, embracing it. But most of the time, people push back. Example, maybe your mother never picked you up from school on time and you were left sitting there on the side of the sidewalk. Where's mom? So you get into a relationship and your partner is late and you're like getting all worked up about it. And then that person comes in and you're putting your finger up going, you're always late. This is unacceptable. You're crossing my boundaries. Rather than saying, I'm feeling really scared. When I was younger, I was often left to my own devices and I was so afraid about it. So we don't communicate from an authentic place. We communicate from trying to suppress our own reactivity and project that onto the other person to solve. Example. And when two people come to a relationship spiritually unbalanced, one has consciousness. So if you want to say to your partner, one has, let me finish the statement, come unbalanced with a limited awareness about the purpose of relationships, they often sabotage the relationship unintentionally. So let's say you say to your partner, my mom used to always leave me on the side of the, waiting there at school, nobody's coming. And your partner says, oh, get over it. That was in the past. That's a sabotage. That person clearly has a challenge with going deep, and there's something else about that. I won't get into whatever that might be or not be. But that's an example of how we sabotage our relationships. And this goes to one of the questions in the chat room about why you're here. We attract the exact partner who matches our level of awareness and vibratory status. And I get this a lot when people call me and they want to know who their soulmate is, or is this my person? Or, if I don't go with this person, if this is my person, am I ever going to find another person who rocks my world the way this person does? And when we begin to understand that we attract who's right for our state of being at the moment, it doesn't become about, well, are we going to get married? Or what? It becomes about engaging with the situation you're in to the fullest ability that you can and working your stuff through it. And then as we advance in our awareness and our vibratory status, I call it, we'll attract different people. And I'm sure most of you have done that in some form, and you could report to me your stories of, first I had this type of a person and it was limited in this way, and then I had this type of a person and it was good for a while, but then I saw the limitations, and you kept up leveling. And hopefully that's what most of us have done, unless we keep picking the same partner over, which I know a little bit about that too. So but know that you're going to get who's right for you. It couldn't happen any other way. The divine is not inefficient. And I've said this so many times, but the divine doesn't say, I got some time on my hands. I think I'm going to go mess up somebody's life right now. I think I'm going to make it hard for Julie or Sherry or Cheryl or Barry. I'm going to go make it hard. I'm going to give you what you need. It's just our mind tells us that happiness means pleasure and comfort. No. What causes us to feel full and happy is when we are engaged with our life, when we're participating, we're expanding and growing into something that makes us feel our wholeness of who we are. So know that who comes to you. And that's why I call this course Calling in Your Next Soul Partner. Who's going to resonate with your soul where you are right now? Not the linear belief that someone's going to come rescue, make me feel better, and I'll never have to have an uncomfortable feeling again. That's not actually what you want. You would actually like someone who can make you feel a little uncomfortable and then wrap their arms around you and help you through the discomfort. You know, if it goes the opposite, like the guy who says, oh, that's in the past, forget it, that can become toxic, but that's a different conversation. So when we change our vibratory status or expand our awareness, we attract differently. It's not as much a mental adjustment. We're going to unplug the thinker. And so you can't say, oh, I'm going to pick better next time. It's an awareness adjustment. How am I relating to life? It's not about who you pick, that's part of it, but it's about how am I showing up? How am I expressing myself toward life? Bob, yeah, I feel I'm so retarded in my relationships that I doubt that I can catch up. Oh, that's no. Well, that's because you're thinking of it as an analytical process. It is a feeling process. Is it an expanding awareness process? Expanding awareness can take 4 seconds or 40 years. It's not a time issue. It's a state of being and mind issue. And that may sound like a linear concept to you, but that's what we have to focus on. And that's why I say we need to settle into allowing and not achieving something. Allowing, because when we're allowing information to come into our psyche and our system, we're not analyzing it, we're letting it sink in and see if something can get shaken up. You know, I don't know how many of you have ever had healing work or massages even, but I just I'm thinking of this because yesterday I had an energy session with a really good friend who's a shaman, and she's just an incredible, she's also a therapist, but she's an incredible energy worker. And we moved a whole bunch of energy, and by the time I was done, it took me like the rest of the day to integrate that into my being. And by this morning, I could really feel I had integrated. And that's how, when we do this, it is. It's not like I'm sitting there going, okay, well, she did this and she did that, and then now I think I'm going to be able to do it differently. No, I had to absorb the shifts as they were happening and then show up differently. So it's not a time thing. It's like, okay, it takes what it takes for whatever is happening in my awareness to make me feel differently. All right. Okay, for some of you who have been in the magnetism course, I use this graphic because, and I think it's useful. It's nice to have a point of view about energy. And I use this in my book, The Energy of Abundance, but this is the gist. All of our emotions and thoughts correlate to vibrations and frequencies. And you don't have to take my word for it. I mean, I base my points of view not only on my experience, which is 30,000 plus sessions with people over the years, but it's from the work of Niels Bohr and Werner Heisenberg, Nobel Prize-winning physicists from the 40s. And they agree with me. No, wait. Well, we agree with one another. Okay, so you can look them up if you like. So you don't have to just accept these things I'm saying to you with no qualification. But if you are at the top, if you're in enthusiasm, if you have joy, if you are showing courage, if you are in happiness or in ease, in the flow, if you are feeling generosity of spirit or optimism, those are high frequency vibrations, meaning fast moving, spacious. When you are feeling that, think about that. you're feeling open, you're feeling at ease, right? And that is attractive to whatever. And then you go into apathy, boredom, confusion, fear, frustration. And to me, and I'll answer the questions momentarily, apathy, boredom, confusion, to me, those are stop energies. You're not contracting, you're not expanding, you're staying status quo, and it stops anything. Self-doubt, self-abandonment, rejection, self-loathing, depression, that's when we start to get in the counterclockwise, as I'm saying at the bottom, anger and violence. The vibrations begin to contract and they don't move as fast. Now we still create. We still create from these places, but we don't like what we create. Why would we? We just bring on. So having the awareness of energy, and this is a mindfulness, this is a consciousness process, gives us power to say, oh, look what I'm digesting in this moment. And these aren't the only ones, by the way. This is just an example. You guys can fill in your own thoughts, emotions, and you'll know where to put them in the spectrum. And yeah, you can embrace more than one frequency at a time. Why do you think we have so much trouble making decisions? Sometimes you got like 3 or 4 competing things going into our being, right? So, and I think one of the things we do is we resist being present with vibrations or frequencies we don't like. Okay, and so that resistance piece is where things get complicated. We think this means if I'm feeling anger or if I'm feeling fear, this isn't right. You know, something, I'm doing it wrong, rather than understand why that is what we choose to use in our reactions. And you get so much more bang for your buck if you go that direction. Why is this my chosen response to my moment? I know this vibration is toxic to me. I know that it's not going to take me any place I want to go, but I am indulging in it. And it's not just a linear thing. You have to figure it out. You have to work through it. And sometimes we can do it alone, sometimes we can't. Any other questions about this? No. Let me keep track of the time. So now that I brought all that up, how do you change your vibratory status and expand your awareness? If that's what we're doing here, how do we do it? You know, what are we going to do about it? I mean, you have to attend to your inner world. So if you think, or your point of view is that I'm going to go out and I'm going to sign up on 6 dating sites, and I'm going to lose 25 pounds, and I'm going to, you know, get myself waxed and shaved. I'm going to manscape, you know, whatever it is. And, you know, not that there's nothing wrong with that, getting yourself in a better, but if you don't take care of the inner, you're just going to keep doing the other. You have to be able to be mindful and conscious about what you're doing in the day-to-day, in the moment-to-moment as you're showing up in life. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be part of how you're approaching this process. Now, if you come upon something, heal and progress, say, I realize I'm fearful. I'm scared to death to be vulnerable. I've been hurt. I'm exhausted. I don't know if I can trust anybody. You got to deal with that. It doesn't mean you may be all the way through that residual wounding, but you got to be enough on top of your stuff that when you come into relationship and you get triggered, which you always will, it's gonna happen. You have to be able to articulate what's happening with you in a way that is useful with your person, so that you can say, this is who I am, this is what I need, and be strong enough to say it and not run from it and project onto your partner. Next, you need to allow your higher wisdom to drive your motivations, not your wounding, your neediness, your self-doubt, or your lack of deserving. A lot of times, I'm not saying anyone in this group, but our neediness, we think if we have something, whether it's a relationship or something else, if I just had that thing over there, I'd feel so much better. And maybe you would. Hey, if you haven't had sex in 10 years, 20 years, you may be a little needy. You might need a hug. And that's okay. But recognize when it's driving you a bit. And when I say allow your higher wisdom, whatever your practice is to become Zen, to get clear, you want that part of yourself determining your decisions and how you interact with someone. We'll do my 6-second attunement where we come up to the 6th chakra through this class, I'm sure. But you got to know what's driving it. Is it neediness, or do I think someone's going to make me feel better? Is it going to make me feel better about myself if I'm walking down the street with someone as opposed to alone? I don't want to sit in a restaurant by myself. Not that we can anyhow right now, but you really want to look at that and let higher wisdom say, well, you know what? You are feeling super vulnerable and you probably can't be fully present for someone else. So, you need to go really slow moving forward with someone. It's something like that. And in this process, if you're trying to pull in a partner, you're going to have to challenge your status quo mentality, do something differently. So, for those of you, and I said a couple moments ago, let some of this just wash over for you. If you're resistant to some of the things I'm saying, it's perfectly fine. But just try to allow it in, to try it on like a new dress, a new pair of pants, see how it fits, and just try it. You don't have to keep it on permanently if it doesn't fit. But you're going to have to do something different than what you're doing now. And this is just a beginning. And that's just what's going to be required. You can't do the same thing over and over. You got to shake it up. You don't have to do 10 things differently. You have to do one thing differently. And then you can master that one thing. And then if you want to add another one, you can. Okay? Next, if you don't know how, gots to learn how to surrender. You gots to do it. And that includes tolerating some level of discomfort, which often emerges when we confront our own limited thinking or wounding residue. We're creatures of habit. We habitualize our process. We become so familiar with it, we're more comfortable with the uncomfortable known quantity than we are with the uncomfortable unknown. But the unknown is where we make progress. The unknown is where we can make it different. So learning to surrender means giving up your attachment to what makes you feel like crap. I'm sad, I'm worried, I'm frustrated, I'm anxious. And in that moment, you have to be able to look at your reactivity to your moment and say, you know what? I'm not going to give up my personal peace or well-being one more minute for that. And whatever is telling me that I should be worried, I should be upset, I should be whatever, that's false. You are contributing to your own unhappiness. So we have to learn how to surrender, and we can certainly talk more about how I do it. And I'm not saying it's easy, like, done. Sometimes it takes a second, sometimes it takes 6 hours, sometimes it takes 2 days, 3 days. I don't know. Everybody, and until you have a method, it takes what it takes. Practice. You have to practice conscious and mindful living. And from my point of view, remembering that everything is energy has always helped me. Maybe it'll help you. That's why I provide energetic conversation, because it takes it out of the realm of emotional and makes it more mathematical. And some of us do better with math than emotion. But our consciousness touches everything. You know, if you shift one of your area of your life, it will impact every other area. But we tend to think, because we may be higher functioning in one area than another, that we're compartmentalizing. We are not. And I know that myself and everyone in this group today, how you show up in your relationships, whatever doesn't work in that area, there's a thread that's weaved through in every other area of your life. You may be higher functioning because you're not in the emotional realm in some area, but it's all one. There's no way around that. So I want you guys to sit with that for a moment. I'm going to take the break now, and we'll look at questions and about that when we come back, and just sit with all that, just ruminate, and I'll look at the chat room and bring some people online after that. Okay? All right. Everybody, but I want to see how you guys have digested all that. I know I threw a lot at you, but I want to see what the comments are and anything. Kind of go through this. By the way, for those of you who don't know me, I am the queen of mistakes. I just make them all the time. So yes, you will see typos. Yes, it happens. I keep saying this will be the year I get an assistant, you know, and maybe it will be. And I have great clients sometimes, like, you know, Phyllis, I'll help you, you know, proofread your stuff. It's okay. But that's how it goes. Oh, it's like, oh yeah, and a couple of the graphics are, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Let's see. So, Sherry Zach saying my book won't arrive until Tuesday. Will you be giving a reading? Right? No, I encourage anybody to read the book, Calling in the One, because it's an excellent read. And there are a whole bunch of exercises in there that I'm not going to give. And it's up to your discretion to determine which ones are going to be useful to you, because everybody's at a different place. I mean, maybe you've had like 10 years of therapy and you're like, I've been there, done that, but I want to do that one. Or maybe you've never had therapy, you've never done any kind of exercises like that, so you might find that useful. Okay, so I will give you in this process what you need, the bare bones for sure. Julie, I had a huge fear reaction to walking alone the other night. I came home and sat with it and looked at it, and I cried tears that wouldn't stop. I wasn't thinking anything. It was happening to me because I was looking at it and allowing it to be and to transmute. I have had a huge shift since this happened. Awesome. And you know, sometimes our unprocessed emotion, it's going to find a way out if we're open to expansion. It will. You know, sometimes, you know, I joke about, you know, relationships, or even if people have transitioned, you think you're fine, and then you're at the grocery store picking out tomatoes and you start bawling, this tomato is so amazing. You know, we find ways to get it out. So that tells me, Julie, that you're really coming closer to yourself and allowing yourself to expand. Any other questions about what I've said in terms of the energy, in terms of any of it? I know you sat with it for a moment, and okay. So now we're going to start getting into some of the stuff that's related Oh, let me just double check. I doubt you do because I know you well enough at this point. But Tracy, was there anything you wanted to ask or comment on all that previous download?
No, but thank you for asking.
Yes, of course. Okay, so as you begin your process to bring in love, you want to make sure you're prepared. And some of the information I talked to you about is part of that preparation so that you can take your temperature on your ability to give and receive love. You have to know your status. It seems like some of you are getting close to knowing what your status are, but there's still some, there's a desire, but what is your readiness? So the first exercise that we're going to do is to actively practice opening your heart to love. So let me grab my book here. We're going to do a little quick meditation. And I encourage you to do this at home every day. You can do it or not do it, but I encourage you to do it until it becomes part of your awareness that you are, when you wake up today, you can say, is my heart open? Am I ready to receive? Am I ready to receive? Am I ready to give? What is my temperature today? Am I 100% open or am I 5% open? Okay, it's that type of a thing. Okay, so everybody, I assume, is sitting down somewhere. So this is a really good time to just take a deep breath and relax and get out of your head. We're now going to get into your body a bit. Just go ahead and take a nice deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And just begin to come into yourself, your inner self. And when you feel ready, let your eyes close. And my method is I like to have my awareness right behind my eyes. Just want to keep my awareness behind my eyes. So if I'm looking out, I'm like like you're at the old drive-in movie theaters, for those of you who are old enough to remember those. I'm looking out. So take another deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, and just let yourself have this moment. We are going to do a little activity. I want you to begin by stretching your arms out in front of you. If you need to open your eyes and see what I'm doing, you can see I'm stretching my arms out. Let me go to the side. And your palms together, elbows straight, your arms parallel to the floor. As you inhale through your nose, open your arms widely to the side, expansively bringing your shoulder blades as close together as possible. And as you stretch, place your awareness on your heart. You're stretched out, my awareness is on my heart. Imagine your heart opening and expanding as you fill your lungs with air by continuing to breathe deeply. Feel your arms stretch out as though they were giant wings while keeping your arms parallel to the ground. Now, when you stretched your arms back as far as they can go, begin exhaling strongly through your nose. Well, I'm doing it through my mouth, but bringing your arms slowly back to the original position. And then again, press your palms together, keeping your arms parallel to the ground the entire time. And each time you expand and bring in, you're going to say to yourself, I open myself fully to give and receive love. In through the nose, out through the nose in this particular method, focusing on your heart and saying, I open myself to give and receive love. It's a physical act. Catherine suggests you do this 26 times with your eyes closed, slightly rolled up, and focus just above and between your eyebrows, the third eye point. So she and I agree on that. Do this exercise at a moderate pace and allow yourself to relax between expansions. If necessary, bring your arms down to rest on your knees for a moment. Let's just all in through the nose, out through the mouth, bringing your arms up, shoulder blades back, and just keep doing that. I open myself fully to give and receive love. And notice how that feels. Does it feel good to expose yourself like that, to project your trust forward? Does it not feel good? Are you aware of your heart space? What does it feel like when you say that? I open myself, and you just say it. I open myself to give and receive love. Just going to give you a couple more seconds to do that. Okay, so you've got the gist. And this is something I encourage you to do throughout the week. If you don't want to do it do it what feels right to you. I think it's so important that you feel inspired to do what you're doing. Julie, I knocked over my tea. Deja, okay. Julie, feel a little exposed. Wendy, very relaxed. Yes, open. Knocked over my tea. Yeah, give me some more feedback how that felt to you. Me too. Thank heaven it was empty. I know, I'm in my little space here. I was hitting the wall over here, but nothing, no liquid spilled. But I think in my work, I always do like to pair concepts with physical activity. It sort of drives it home on the physical level as well as the emotional, intellectual, and spiritual. So, Sally, good stretch, but I was thinking of the steps too much. Need to practice it. Sure. So, yeah. And that's all we're doing today is just getting familiar with these things, and you can do it at home. And now you're feeling more open. Fantastic. Yeah. And because sometimes we don't recognize we've sort of closed down and that we aren't being open. And I think it's important, especially for those of you who've been out of the game a while, to make sure you are open. Because what I've noticed with a lot of people who are out of relationship, they miss opportunities because they are not open, or they don't recognize when someone maybe is coming up to them with a romantic intention or a desire to connect. They're not receiving it because the filter, or they're just not open to it. So it is important to stay open. Claudia or Mary, I could feel myself relaxing and feeling more open. The stretch feels good. Yeah, it does. Good. Claudia feels great, safe, and comforting to open to the heart shift. Awesome. It should. I mean, these things, even if there is some level of discomfort for whatever the reason may be, to go and begin opening and shifting should feel good. It should make you feel optimistic and hopeful that a new chapter, you're stepping into a new chapter. Absolutely. Anybody else? Oh, Jackie, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but it hurt my arms. Hard workout yesterday. You're not a Debbie Downer. You're funny. Yeah, come as you are. That's my motto. And that's what I said at the beginning. You're not supposed to do what you think you're supposed to do or say what you think you're supposed to say. You're supposed to say what you want to say and be who you are, where you are, when you're there. That's how we make progress. Anybody else? Okay. This is the little paragraph I wanted to share with you for today. I like to include these, or something nice to ruminate on, because we tend to distinguish romantic love as separate from love itself. You know, romantic love includes the benefits of hormones and biological urges. The qualities that make up a loving relationship are the same, whether they're love of our friend, our sister, our student, or our husband, wife. Compassion, generosity, and kindness transcend gender, title, or the form of a relationship. And most women that I know, or in my circle, are pretty much on board with this. And this tends to be more, really goes to people who are younger, that thinks there's no chemistry. Not that chemistry is important, I'm not saying that. But if they don't feel that romantic spark or the biological spark immediately, they reject the situation. So we're moving towards love itself, not just a romantic definition of love. Why do I fall in love so easily? I've fallen for all my guy friends. Why do you think? I'd like to hear your assessment of that before I were to, because I mean, I'd have to psychic read you to know that answer, which I'm not going to do today. On the face, I would say that you like connection first and to have the safety of friendship first. And when that happens, I mean, that would just be my automatic guess. Anil, are we moving toward love or allowing the divine source of love within us to open? To me, there's no difference. I'm using the context of relationship because that's the nature of the course, but it's the same. I mean, that's what it is. And that, again, as we talked about in earlier slides, is why relationships are mechanisms for growth. They're expanding our being, not just our relationship life. They're causing us to evolve ourselves and be able to be more in oneness with divine consciousness. So Barry, you said trusted intimacy. Is that a comment? Just, I'm not exactly sure your reference, but that's what we all want.
Yeah, that. I think that can be added to the statement that we have over there on the side.
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right, onward. So let's talk about the role of dependence and interdependence in relationships. And this is another statement that belonging must be cultivated and valued in and of itself to feel truly fulfilled in our lives. Now, this may be controversial, okay? I'm saying try it on, don't reject it immediately. But, you know, we're tribal by nature. We are all connected, whether we like it or not. You know, we are one. We are all part of one consciousness, one reality. And we need to feel each other. And you think about 2020 with being distanced from, physically distanced. You know, I don't know how many times I've said this past week, my mother passed a year ago, and my sisters and I have yet to hug each other. What? Both of my sisters are high risk, very high, so they just cannot take the chance. And but we need to be with each other, and we need to honor that and cultivate it. So I'm not calling you guys out who've been single for 10, 20 years necessarily, But if you have created an existence that is just you, and you've got yourself comfortable in the alone category, you guys are going to have to work the most to honor this, because through healthy interdependence, where we're doing it together, we're going to grow more than if we're on our own. We're going to be able to actually experience and realize love more on our own or with another than on our own. And so we have to value that enough to get out of our own way. We've got to value it enough to take the steps to move. It doesn't mean you have to be like with 20 people. 1, 2, any form of community, any form of connection. And if you can get to a point where you can rely on someone, depend, even though that puts you at risk, that's where you want to be. I value it, but so difficult when so many have let me down. I get it, girl. I get it. I get it. However, you're making my point. Thank you. That we have to go in and hold ourselves and look at that resistance and say, what are you? What is this? How can I heal this? How do I wrap my arms around that wound so that it's a scar, something, you know, a badge I carry, an experience, but it doesn't impact my present moment. And it may be hard. Sometimes if you've been through a lot, you know, you're one of those people, if you come into a relationship, one of the first conversations is, you know, I need to go slowly. You know, that is what I need to go slowly. I'm emotionally vulnerable, and it's going to take me a little time. You just have to follow my cues, something like that. And you're going to be looking for a person who has the ability to do that with you. The worst thing, Sherry, that can happen is no, but yes can't happen unless we ask. Absolutely. Bhavya, I have no trouble with community. I have great friends, but romantic love has stayed elusive. Gee, huh? I wonder why. I'm teasing. But the reason is partly in the statement. You know, are you elusive? Are you leaning in, and how are you leaning in? And it's not exactly tit for tat, but when we are attracting unavailable, when we think that love is elusive, there's something in us that is not fully available yet. And so we are playing in the realm where we still allow people in to help us heal that. And if we think love is elusive, we aren't recognizing it when it shows up fully, because there is tons of love out there, more than any of us could possibly handle. We just more. It's just woo. It's out there. Okay. Okay. Then we might have left a word out here, Bobby. I don't even, I think, know people I'm attracted to and that are available. And that's part of the filter when we've been either shut down or alone. And that's the purpose of let's open, make sure I'm open, make sure the filters are off so that I can recognize it when it actually shows up. And for those of you who have the book, or you're going to get the book of Catherine's, she tells this amazing story at the beginning of how her husband, she's not married to him currently, but back then, it took her 6 years to recognize him as a viable partner. She had to go through a whole bunch of different evolutionary processes before she was able to go, oh, duh, you're kind of it. So the work we do on ourselves is really what's required to create what I call readiness. Okay. I'm going to get into some assignments right here, but I want to make sure everybody says what they need to say. And then there'll be another opportunity to do some Q&A at the end here. I've left enough time. Let me check in with, where are you, Tracy? Tracy, anything you need to say, ask, or share?
Hi, nothing to share at this point.
Okay. Okay. I know
Thank
I
you.
put you on the spot, but I don't want you to be left out. Okay. All right, so here we go. Now this is from the book, and this is something I'd like you all to consider doing for yourself next week. This is a love letter. This is one of my favorite assignments, and I can tell you from experience, I have done this and it works like a charm. But essentially, you're going to craft a letter to yourself, written to you from your ideal lover, when you're going to imagine what he, she, or might say to you in a moment of great tenderness and love. For example, you are the most beautiful woman / handsome man I've ever known. I will always love you, and I'll do anything in my power to make you happy. Your heart is safe with me. I will dedicate myself to loving you and caring for you all the days of my life. And I have to tell you, back in the day when I first did this book the first time, I juiced it up. I was like, you are the most rockin' whatever, you're sexy, you're this, you're that. I mean, I worked it. And I swear to God, my next partner wrote me stuff like that. No wonder I fell for him. He said everything I wanted to hear and exactly the way I wanted to say it. It was kind of remarkable. So anyhow, and when you finish writing this letter, I want you to reread it and then allow yourself to imagine the words being spoken to you with great kindness and care. And then place your hand on your heart, silently or aloud. Lovingly say your name to yourself and allow your heart to open and receive the sweet sentiments you have written. And next week, for those of you who are brave enough to do so, I'd like to hear some of these letters. Can you imagine? Any questions about the letter? Will you be sending us a copy of the assignments? Well, I can, if you want it. I don't know if you were here right at the beginning, and now I don't send out the audio I don't send out the unfinished product in the video or audio, but I'm happy to send the PowerPoint out if you would like it. Just let me know that you want that.
Is this in the book?
It is in the book. It is on, let's see what page it's on. You know what, guys? I didn't do another meditation I'm going to do with you. But yeah, it's on page 30. So let's back up and let's do this other meditation. I prepared this beautiful slide for I forgot to practice. You guys got to hold me accountable. Come on. Just kidding. Point in case, yeah. All right, so this is another meditation, and this has to do with the interconnectedness piece. Find that sweet spot, close your eyes, and go inside behind your eyes. Notice if there's any tension, and if not, release it. Allow yourself to feel relaxed. Focus on your breathing, allowing your breath to wash over you, to fill up your belly, and then your heart. Now, imagine a beautiful light expanding the energy around your heart with each breath. Now, think of your neighbors, people in this class, or your actual physical neighbors. Notice that there is a vibrant energy that connects your heart to their hearts, and then back again from them to you. And say to yourself, I am connected to everyone and everything. I am connected to everyone and everything. And now think of coworkers or those you may come in contact with on a daily basis. Could be grocery store, utility company, doesn't matter. But again, notice that beautiful force fields of energy connect you with each person you see, whether you know the person by name or not. Repeat the phrase to yourself with each person who may come to mind. I am connected to everyone and everything. And as you repeat the phrase with each person who comes to mind, imagine a beautiful energy passing between your heart and theirs, connecting you in love. Spend at least 3 minutes doing this exercise. If you can sit for a longer period, do. But you don't have to do it for longer than 3 minutes. I like this exercise because it reminds us we're connected, and it gives us a way to move about the world in a mindful way so that we don't reject others and that we don't judge others and we don't put up walls to others. Because we all, consciously or consciously, either, we impact each other. And it's not even the spoken word. It is the space we hold for others. People feel that. And if you are a spacious individual, you will become magnetic, more magnetic than you find yourself to be. And when our magnetism increases, we don't have to think, how am I going to attract my partner? They will automatically come to us as we set intention for that to occur. It's not effortful. Okay, you can open your eyes whenever you're ready. And great, love that exercise. So your next assignment, and most of these things you're going to need to participate next week, far more than I required of you this week. But I want you to determine one quality or goal you want to embrace to improve yourself. I want you to set something for yourself. So for those of you, for instance, who are feeling very cautious and reserved and scared about opening, maybe the goal will be to become more open. Maybe you're like, you know, I'm scared. I don't want to tell it all up front. Maybe you need to be more honest or more honest with yourself. Maybe you find yourself being real judgy. It's like, yeah, that person's to this, to that, or, you know, that person, they don't do that, you know, whatever is on the why you think it's okay to judge them. And that's different than discernment. We're allowed to discern who we want in our close proximity, but I'm talking about judging, right? If you don't know how to surrender, I put that on your to-do list. Your choice, but these are just some examples. Embrace a dream you've abandoned. Maybe you're an artist. Maybe, who knows? Maybe you want to start your own business. I don't know. Revisit something that has prana to you, that has life, that got you excited at some point, and come back to it and say, I'm going to bring this into my life to activate my realm. I want to be vibrant. And to be vibrant, we have to feel vibrant. We have to feel alive. And that usually means we move into something that is different, or be more loving or generous. Part 2 of this assignment is on a daily basis. Once you've determined what that thing is, do it once a day. It can be small or large, whatever it is you do. Say you decide, maybe you have a health challenge. I'm going to get more fit. Well, move every day. I'm going to move for 10 minutes. I'm going to watch TV less, 10 minutes less. Do something consciously, mindfully, that is toward that goal. Maybe it's time for me to write my book. I'm going to write for 10 minutes every day. Maybe it'll be more, but I'm going to do 10 minutes a day. Or I'm going to make a point to reach out to somebody that I have a schism with, and solve that. I mean, it's anything that you decide is relevant, but take action toward it in some way. We want to begin to stimulate your energy so that you are becoming different than what you are in this moment. Your third assignment for the week is to assess, is there physical space in your home for a partner to spend the night, have a toothbrush, a change of clothes, etc.? Now, I don't know people's religious leaning, if that's too outside of the bounds, the thought of having somebody over. You don't have to have any overnighters. I'm not encouraging you to go outside of your sexual boundaries. But is there room for someone? Or is it like, don't touch that. Oh, don't move that pan. Take your temperature on, is your space open for partnership? Because that's one of the things you want to do. If someone comes into your house and there's magazines all over the chair and there's no place for them to sit, that's a pretty clear message. Next, ask yourself, are you making space to meet or connect with new people? Now, some of you, because of COVID and all, I've never been someone who's been that excited about online dating, but it's kind of like the only way right now. But it's a way. There's hiking, there's walking outdoors, 6 feet apart. But are you making space to meet or connect with new people? Are you doing that? Or are you sitting in your home hoping it'll just happen? You've got to be out there in some form on purpose. And if you're not ready to meet, if you're saying to me, you know what, I'm in a relationship right now, I don't want to meet anybody. Or if you're like, I don't quite feel ready, that's fine. But know that when you're ready to move the energy that you're in now, you're gonna need to take that step. Lastly, and for those of you, especially those of you who are expressing some of that residue of wounding, are you doing any healing work or personal cleanup of your life that you need to do to ensure you feel confident and available and open to be with someone? None of us are perfect. All of us have stuff. You don't have to be perfect, but you're going to want to up level whatever your stuff is, at least a notch. You've got to clean it up a bit if you want to pull someone to you who's different than before. And often we can get that done by reflecting upon our most recent relationship, especially if there's still angst there, or the one we had in recent memory, and do our part to make sure our reactivity is appropriate. Any questions about any of that? And so now we've just got a few minutes left before we're going to end for today. So This is your guys' chance to ask me whatever you want to ask or clarify whatever you need to clarify about the content you've heard. And next week, I would like you guys to be prepared to talk about this or chat with me about it. And again, as I said at the very beginning, you can do as much or as little as you like, whatever feels right for you. So Julie, you say, okay, Jeer? Is that what you meant to type? Oops, here's my question. Okay. Sorry. And by the way, there's no apologizing in my groups. Don't apologize.
So my question,
I don't like women apologizing. That's a personal pet peeve of mine. Don't apologize.
okay, and I do that too much. What I was trying to write was, I've always told myself that I'm shy or uncomfortable in social situations, which I am. And so is that just something that protects me from being open, or is that the case?
You're so adorable. Oh my God, you're so cute. I don't experience you to be shy. I mean, you're in front of 20 people right now. You put yourself out there first. So you're able to move forward out of it. So I don't see it as a protection. I see it as a limitation, actually, that view you have of yourself, because then it's a boundary, it's a wall between you and
I
others.
should push through that. I should.
Well, push through it. That's a linear, achievement-based concept. I would say allow yourself to feel the discomfort of putting yourself out there, but do it anyhow. But be with it and hold yourself, and don't judge yourself or criticize yourself for having a feeling about it. Not everybody's outgoing. Not everybody is in your face, you know, and that's okay. You're unique to you, but yeah. But if you want to pull more people in, I think it would be helpful to work that level.
Okay, thank you.
You're adorable, by the way. Mary, assignment 2, I can be critical or judgmental of myself, so I can do that to others, especially when I'm uncomfortable or feeling vulnerable. Any suggestions on how I can change this? Well, I can tell you what I would do. What I do when I notice I'm being reactive is that I slip into more mindfulness, meaning I track my system. So when I begin to react or behave in that way, I create enough space to look at it and say, take a minute, go up to behind my eyes, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to be with this. What is that? What is that? What am I afraid of? Why do I think that is necessary? Who told me that was a proper way to respond in life or project myself? You know, another way is to close your eyes, feel the judgment, feel that criticism, and notice where it lights up in your system, your body. You know, if it lights up in your gut or your heart or your wherever, and then allow yourself to drift into that sensation in your body and see what it tells you. You know, maybe you'll fall back into a memory of something related or unrelated to criticism or judgment, but let yourself go into that and see if there's something there for you that explains. And, you know, if it comes up primarily when you're feeling vulnerable, I think that's part of your answer as well. You're scared shitless, apparently, you know, and if we are scared, you know, kind of like with Julie, rather than being with that discomfort, it feels more powerful to take somebody's inventory. I'm all that, and I can see what you're doing, and da, 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 da. It feels, it's a false feeling that it's more powerful, but it can feel that way. And so I would just encourage you to get excited about being vulnerable. And yes, when we are vulnerable, we are at risk. I know. But without vulnerability, we're not going to get to that juicy place we all desire. You have to find a way to be there. So I encourage you, perhaps, when I was looking at the list in the book, Catherine refers to these as essence qualities, but maybe on your list, it's embracing vulnerability, seeing it as a positive thing. Because I think when we've been hurt and disappointed so many times, you just think, how can I get up? How can I stand on two legs again and do this? And that is the only question you have to answer. So, and the quest for love, it's like, I want a new partner, I want this, I want that. Well, answer that question inside you. Solve that particular piece, since you know that's a hot button issue, and you're going to get a lot of bang for your buck. We think it's like, well, how many dates am I going on? No, it's creating that internal balance in your own person and energy that's going to cause the right person to come to you, so that being vulnerable is safe. So that's my answer. Anything else, guys, gals? Thank you. You're welcome, Jackie. So far, I see who wanted. I'm going to make a list right now. I don't want to. If you guys don't mind, I'll just send the PowerPoint to everybody, and you can delete it. I don't like a bunch of junk in my email box, but I don't want to have to write everybody's name down. Julie, oh my God. I wear a ring on my finger to push men away. Holy crap, girl. Whoa. Do you think that maybe that might be some? You are so funny. You're cracking me up. So are you, what I want to know is, are you going to take it off, at least through the course? Okay, thank you.
I just took it off. I'll stop wearing it. But
Well, thank you for the confession.
Yes.
Okay.
I was feeling it might apply. So
yes. Sherry says, I make it a point to keep my ring finger bare. Good. Bavia, well, I'm going back between US and Germany, where wedding bands are worn is different, so I would have to change it. What do you mean it's different? I don't know about that. Thank you, Sally. I love this group too.
So in America, you wear it on the left hand as a sign of like your hard hand. In Germany, you wear it on the right. It's a contract.
Oh, there you go. So do you have to wear one? Are you wearing one?
Unless I don't want to wear any rings. And I've, like, all my life, I had 2 rings on my left hand. It's just, and, then I say I don't need it that bad that I, would change myself.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, I'd be focusing on wearing my heart on my sleeve, but anything else? I keep asking, but I just want to make sure everybody says what they need to say or ask what they need to ask before we. And next week, we're going to do a lot of what did you learn over the week? What did you write in that beautiful love letter? And I want to know what you think your state of readiness is. And it may change, and probably will, throughout our time together. But it's nice to have a baseline and to at least have a beginning where you think you know where you are. Like, you know what, I thought I was ready for a relationship, but I probably need to do X, Y, and Z, or damn, I need to get online tomorrow and start matching with people because I'm ready. You know, I want to know where you fall in that spectrum. And again, the book, I'm going to stop the share. Here's a book for those of you who don't have it. It's also, there's plenty of versions out there. What else? What else? I think that's it. I don't think I have. Let me just check in with Tracy real quick, make sure. Tracy, do you have anything you want to add?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, great. Are you getting the book or not? I don't, or if you do, you already have it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm on the fence with it. I am a part of Audible. I'm going to confess, I do not enjoy reading, but I love, love, love Audible. And
That's fine.
book is on Audible. I looked it up.
Cool. All right, good. All right, so I hope you guys have a fantastic week. I thoroughly enjoyed having all of you here, and the journey has begun. We're doing this. So expect the Zoom links on Friday. That's when I send them out. I'll send the PDF or the PowerPoints out right away because I can just do that from my calendar and include everybody. Let me make sure. Thanks, Claudia. Mwah, mwah. Yes, you're most welcome. We're in it together. Thanks, Julie. See, Julie, you're funny. You're interesting. Okay, great. Okay, you guys have a great week. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you next week. Okay.